Everyone, I'm Cody with Up to Code. Today I have Damian and Maggie with me. They're the renovation super couple. Now, you guys are almost done this basement suite. They helped me determine and figure out this Homega insulating panel system for basements. Yeah, so we filmed these step-by-step videos, but I never talked about the test because that was a big part of it, is the fact that we needed to develop a way, because Nudura was like, well, you just throw the Homega panels on the wall and it's good to go. Well, but we all know that the walls aren't straight. They're right. Why don't you talk about the test? Do you remember what we did? We tested 3 products, didn't we?
Well,
and we did it right over there by the door.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I think what we did, that's a little while ago now, since now we're at this point, we kind of almost forget about how that went. But we did try the PL product.
Right.
We tried the foam, actual glue for foam, the foam adhesive.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then we also tried just the simple window and door spray foam.
Right.
And I think the outcome of that ultimately was that the window and door foam was just as good. If you know, the benefit that it had was it was way faster to cure.
Yes.
And we found that the PL was took a little longer, and it wasn't as predictable.
Yeah, you're right. And it's got more stink and all the rest, right? Takes
Yeah.
longer. Yeah.
Yeah, took a little bit more. And honestly, that would be that would be probably a pretty expensive way to go, because you'd have to go through a lot of product. Our concrete walls, no different than any walls that we've done before for basement development. The basement walls can be out by 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch sometimes on out of level.
Right.
So if you can't fill that void with anything other than a expanding foam product.
Right.
Really.
Yeah,
So
because you're right. Yeah. The
that,
PL would just be dripping,
Oh,
like it
yeah.
would be a mess. Yeah.
Yeah.
and there was times where we even, skipping ahead a little bit, because we decided to go with the window and door foam, we had some of the walls, we had a huge gap. We had about a 1 inch
right.
gap. And that 1 inch gap, we were actually able to just put a piece of rigid foam, pin it to the underneath of the, and just kind of, we made a little bit of a ledge so that when that spray
Right.
foam went through, it didn't just drop to the bottom. It actually was able to sit on something
right.
and expand. That was on a really big gap. But
I remember you saying that. So you just took the panel and just you knew where the holes were going to be, and you just stuck a little
exactly.
piece of foam on the back
Yeah.
as a shelf.
And really, that little shelf, we actually just used a little 2-inch nail. Just push it in with your finger.
Oh, right.
Through that little piece of foam.
Right.
Like we just used a chunk of the cut off Nudura and just pinned it on there. And that little shelf just held the foam, allowed time for it to expand and fill that void. It was excellent.
Remember when we pulled, because you pulled the chunks of foam off that wall,
Well, that's right. Yeah.
because that's how we knew which one was the best, right? Yeah, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah. And in some cases, it just pulled the foam apart.
Right. And I think this window and door spray foam was the best, like by far the best choice for that too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it pulled the Nudura panel apart.
Yes.
Times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was great. That's what you want to see. You want to see good adhesion.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that was part of the process, is figuring that out. Now, I don't actually know if it's worth debating, because we did all the concrete screws. I don't know if I don't think I'd ever not do the concrete screws. But you might be able to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the thing about using the concrete screws is, particularly in this area here, I have kitchen cabinets hanging on here.
Right.
So if you use just the spray foam in other walls where it's just the drywall on there, it probably would be just fine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But on this wall, we wanted that extra security, and truthfully, by using that long screw into the concrete, it allowed us to level the wall perfectly, because when you put the spray foam in, it did have it'll expand, it'll move a little bit.
Right.
This way we could actually get our 6-foot level on there and hold it on there and use those screws after you put the foam in to level that wall perfectly.
Yeah, and they're straight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually
Yeah.
super slick. Like, took us a lot of debate to figure out the system, but once we didn't actually go back and forth. Like, we thought of the system and it actually just worked out perfectly.
Yeah, that is actually a bit of a surprise, isn't it? Because you expect to
kind of go, that didn't work that well.
Back and forth and try some stuff, and everybody could get involved with it. I mean, it was so simple at
Mm-hmm.
one point that Lucas, our second youngest, came to help, and you and him were putting up the panels.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, like it was slick once we got it figured. Yeah.
Once you got your top and your bottom plate in place, the rest is just it just goes in.
Right. Like I know for my basement, because I'm living in the house, even Heidi noticed this morning, like when you come downstairs, it's warm down there. Like way warmer than upstairs.
No, that's
So,
nice.
And I don't think you guys have the furnace going yet.
No.
But what have you noticed? Because you did mention something about air infiltration last time I was talking to you.
Well, one thing is for sure, the whole time when it's just concrete walls, raw concrete walls, it's cold. And we were working in here when it was minus 30 outside.
Oh, God.
It was cold.
The heater probably never shut off.
Two with those little construction heaters just rocking.
I would stand in front of them.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. Right.
Well,
yeah.
Over here.
Yeah. Just no, just.
Yeah. But as soon as we were done with the panels and they were up and in place, it was way better. And then the little bit of, we did some spray foam on the joist ends, and as soon as that was done, it was sealed. Yeah. And even having the inspector come over, when the inspector came to do the assessment, she did mention right away, she said, oh, that's an excellent system. And she wasn't completely familiar with it. So
right.
She called another inspector.
Oh, yeah.
She got back, she said, great system. You don't need to seal anything. It's perfect. And even kind of said, oh, it's nice to know you don't have to worry about moisture and mold and all those things.
Right.
And that's that peace of mind that comes with that. I mean, we're holding these properties and renting them out. So we never want to have to worry about that stuff. No, for sure. My only regret is that I wish we had known about this product before we did the previous units. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now looking back, I would never do anything.
And I think what you were talking about was him talking about one of our other places where he was hanging a TV mount and drilled a hole. And you could just feel that cold air rushing.
That's right.
Yeah. Good call.
Oh,
Good call.
Thank you. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so you could feel the air gushing through there.
That was shocking, actually. That's a great point, because that was about as cold as it gets.
Yeah, it was cold.
And that's right. I drilled one hole in the wall for a TV anchor, and at one point I kind of missed the stud, and I just went through and basically punctured the vapor barrier and the drywall.
And that would have been a bat
barrier,
bat
insulation back there.
Right.
And immediately I could feel cold air coming through that hole. And I said, Maggie, get over here. You gotta feel this.
Holy.
She put her hand in front of it. You could stand there and just whistling that cold air out through that. Yeah. I thought, oh, that's terrible.
I'm like, darn, should have done Homega.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would have solved that for us.
That's cool. Like, it's nice to know that the system works. Mm-hmm. And Nudura doesn't, I've said this in other videos, they're not sponsoring us, right? It's like, I just want to show a product that can save us steps and save us time and money, but it's actually a good system, right? Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's slick. Like, at first I was like, I don't know about it, right? But now we've developed the step-by-step. It's super easy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And even from so it's advantageous for sure during drywall. We know that. When we went to put the drywall on, you'd come to a corner, and at times, even on a inside,
partition
corner with a partition wall.
Right.
Even if there was no drywall backing there, you go, okay, there's no drywall backing because it's rigid foam along there. But there was spots where even though the stud, the piece of wood strapping that's inside that Nudura panel,
right,
even if it was back from the corner a little bit, that drywall would span that distance into the corner, and then the partition wall, that drywall would basically butt up to it, and it's got nowhere to go.
Right, because it's solid back.
It was a solid backing basically everywhere. There was times.
Well, and you could
metal angle.
Yeah, so I was going to say you could foam or glue it to the foam, like the drywall. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we've also done the angle too.
Yeah, and there was definitely spots. If it was quite a ways back, we still did put a piece of metal angle just to give some reassurance to that. But the point is that during drywalling, it was excellent.
So that angle we're referring to is the same angle we used on the top and bottom. So if you don't have backing somewhere, you'll have it on one side on your partition wall. So you just nail that light gauge metal angle, and then now that gives you backing for the other side where the foam is. So yeah, just for the folks at home.
And you know, another thing that we noticed too, when you're those wood strapping, the strapping in there on the panels.
Oh, right.
It's what is it, 1.75 inches? Is it 2 inches?
I'm gonna.
2, isn't it?
It's something like
it's
that.
between 1.75 inches and 2. Yeah.
Yeah. The point is, it's wider than
A
your
stud.
stud.
Right.
So it's way easier. You have way less misses on your drywall when you're putting your screws in. It doesn't happen often anyway, but when you other walls that are with studs in it, the stud can be bowed or have some bow to it, and then of course you go to run your screw in and you miss. But we're predicted that there'd be a stud there.
Right.
Where on those panels it was straight through and 2 inches wide. Bam.
Easy.
Yeah,
that makes it easier.
I'm not sure. They are wider than a stud.
They are for sure. Well, and the other thing is the walls aren't going to crown, right? Like you might install straight lumber if you're doing it traditionally, and then they'll crown later. Well, now your wall's wavy. Well, these we know we set them straight and they're going to stay there.
Yeah.
So
and that was advantageous for Blaine when he was putting in the kitchen cabinets. This wall, he didn't have to shim or mess around.
Scribe the countertop or nothing. Hey,
it's all just perfectly level. The walls were perfectly level.
Did he mention that?
He mentioned how easy it was to put this stuff, and he said, "Oh, your framing is really good," but he didn't even know there was the panels back there. And I didn't tell him till he was well into it, and I kind of truthfully, I forgot about it at the time. I'm just like, get the cabinets in, go ahead. But really, him not knowing, it was one of the things I was thinking, like, is he gonna be able to do the stud, find the straps and all that in there? I said nothing. He found them. Put it all on there. Commented that the framing was nice and straight and level. And I was like, oh yeah, right. That's the panels.
Right. Oh shoot.
Yeah.
Huh.
And
it's actually neat, hey?
Yeah, it is neat, and it's good to know that that stuff's on there. It's secured well.
Yeah. And we don't have to wonder if it's going to hold, right? Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And putting in the electrical that's no big deal.
Well, yeah, and that video is pretty much all you. You figured that out 100%. I didn't even have anything to do with that.
And you know what? That little system of using the electric chainsaw, that's a thing that lots of people do.
Yep.
Cheapo electric chainsaw, make your grooves, and away you go. With ICF, it's a little different.
Yeah.
In the sense of you're worrying about where the ties are and stuff.
Right.
You don't try to go, you're not really trying to go behind ties.
That's true.
ICF.
That's true.
Those I did go behind. I went behind because I just wanted to keep the integrity of that strap.
I agree with that. Yeah, and you guys had a system and it worked really slick. Yeah.
Pretty fast.
Huh. Yeah, that's all you guys get all the credit for that. So
for doing what and actually that same system is what's done with ICF essentially.
Yeah, the only difference is you just cut through the ties on ICF.
Yeah, whereas we just went behind it. It's not really an option to go behind the tie.
No, it's not. ICF. No, it does.
Is, so why not? Yeah.
Well, and I didn't actually realize it because you spray foam the box in and then you yanked on it. Yeah. I had no idea. I actually was surprised by that. But it makes sense. Like once it's foamed, you can't rip that out.
Yeah, and I got that from somebody else. They said that was many years ago with putting electrical boxes into ICF. Somebody said, use either a glue or use a spray foam. And I'm like, really? Was the spray foam going to hold it in there well enough? Once that spray foam is holding around that, especially those plastic boxes, that sucker, you cannot pull that out.
Right.
Which you got to make sure you got in the right spot for sure where you want it. Because once that's in, it is not moving. No,
you'd have to chisel it out. And they also have the flange.
Yeah.
So once the drywall's on again, it's just another level. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, one of the little slight disadvantage with that, and I mean it's no different than with ICF. There's not really you can't have a lot of electrical wire back outside of the box. Sometimes you leak with. Yeah,
or you got to cut a little channel to leave that loop, right?
Yeah. It's hard. It's kind of hard too because when you're using spray foam, it can get all stuck on the wires and everything. But
I suppose. Well, there's got to be we got to give them one disadvantage.
Yeah. I
Right?
wouldn't say it was like a big deal.
No.
No. Okay. Well,
not a
shoot.
big deal.
I think that probably covers. Does that cover most?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you guys are happy with the system and
Yeah.
yeah.
We sure are.
Yeah, so-
actually, we think about someday if we were ever to like build again, and that could happen. We've been thinking about some of the perfect building systems, and ICF's great for exterior walls for a new build.
Right.
And how do we incorporate some of the Nudura panels maybe into ceilings and stuff like that, and into a roof,
Right.
roof system? Who knows?
Yeah. Well, you guys used it on the garage in here,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
I have you guys pegged in a video on that too, because we talked about the multiple uses of it. Yeah, and well, for renos, you can do it on the outside, right? If you're
On the
reno,
ceiling in the vestibule.
right,
That's right. Yeah.
right. So it's just, it's cool that all the different uses.
Mhm.
It's neat. It's simple, but it's just, it's weird how it's so effective.
Mhm.
Yeah. So anyway, no, I appreciate you guys because you helped me. I brought the idea to you.
Mhm.
You sat on it and then you're like, let's do it. So we just jumped on it right away. I wanted you guys to help me in my basement, but it actually just worked out better. But either way, I just appreciate you guys helping me figure out the system and should help everybody at home.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I appreciate it because we were skeptical.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I'm like, really? No, sorry.
But you're enough of a
I wouldn't
thinker.
say I was
Not-
skeptical of the product. It was
Yeah.
more like, is this worth the money?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
Sorry, you know what? That's a better way to put
Yeah,
it.
I
Yeah.
wasn't skeptical of the idea. It was like, is this in the budget?
Is it?
It's not in the
Yeah,
budget, but
right.
we're going to do
Yeah.
it anyway because it's worth it. Because we know that.
Yeah.
Well, in the
Yeah.
panel, like not to, because pricing it on the video is going to be tricky because it could differ on areas
Oh, for sure.
and years. But it's right around, like when we bought it, was right around $2 a square foot,
Mhm.
right? Well, spray foam right off the hops anywhere from
Right.
$3.50 to $5, depending how thick you go.
Yeah.
And you still have to frame it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So really, without getting into a bunch of detail, I think the cost is super effective,
Mhm.
right? And because, we spent a little more money on top plates and bottom plates, but it simplified the install. Like it was
Yeah.
super easy.
It was.
Yeah, so
It was worth it.
the cost, I think,
And the thing is, like, so the you think about the cost of it, it's the long-term benefit that will pay for itself years to come. If there is a year where, we're in a basement, and eventually you can get a little water in your basement. If that was to happen, at least with the foam panels, it's not really much of an issue yet. We're never going to get water in here ever. Yeah, but it can happen.
well, if you
can
did
water.
get some moisture, but it's not a cavity,
Right.
and it's foam product. It's inorganic. It's not going to grow mold on the foam,
Yeah.
right? So
And that
That's
is
peace of mind there.
that's huge peace of mind.
yeah. Well, and theoretically, if concrete was plumb and true and straight, when you close the gap, that air gap behind the foam and the concrete, if you get that tiny, that's way less air gap and way less condensation that can build in the winter, right?
Yeah.
So it's actually way better than a bad.
Yeah.
So we won't try to solve all the world's problems today, but
No.
we did cover a fair bit, which I'm super happy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was a simple install. It worked great for us, and I would absolutely recommend it and use it again.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. Alrighty. Okay. This is the renovation super couple, like I mentioned before. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.
All right, so here we are. It's been 48 hours since we put that stuff on the wall, the testing of the Nudura Homega product. And so we are gonna start yanking this and pulling it off a little bit and see how we did. So I think what we'll do, just because we have two sections that are the foam, and then we have one with the PL Premium, we're actually gonna start over here. So the PL Premium, because it's slower to dry than the other ones, we actually set that one on the, giving it some support on the basement floor. So what we're gonna do here first is we're gonna sort of simulate what would happen. So in all likelihood, people are gonna be pushing on here possibly if somebody bumps into the drywall. And it feels pretty good. I mean, there's a little bit of looseness along the bottom, and that makes sense because there was no foam or no glue attachment there. But in this area here, seems pretty good. It's good and firm. So I'm going to give that a bit of a yank now. Oh yeah, no, it's on there. So it looks like that PL Premium certainly did its job. So here we go. Okay, so here's the PL Premium. And you know what? I just touched a bit of it, and it's actually